Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome back to Rhythm Lesson number 2. That's right. Today is our second rhythm lesson, first and second graders, and we're going to be learning a brand new note. Yep, you heard me. We have a couple notes already, but we're going to be doing a brand new one today. I think you guys are going to like it because it makes things a little bit more complicated now. But first, we should make sure to review what we did last time. So here, if you remember, are the parts of a note. A music note has a couple of different parts to it, or a few different parts to it. So the first thing that all music notes have is a head. Now, the head could look solid like this one. The head could look hollow like this one. Regardless, the music head is the first part of the note. A music note also has what's called a stem. Now the stem of the music note looks like this, kind of like a flower. A flower has a head and it has a stem, so does a music note. Though not all music notes have stems. Sometimes music notes look like this. This one does not have a stem, just a head. Another part of music notes can be what's called the flag. This is the flag right here, and this music note has a head, a stem, and a flag. There's one more type of music note that we need to look at, and that is when a music note or notes have a bar between them. So look at this. Here are two music notes. There's a head and there's a head. There's a stem and there's a stem. We have two music notes here. But you can see here that these two music notes are attached, and they're attached with what we call the beam. That's right, these are two music notes, and they're attached by the beam. So let's review. Our music notes have a head, a stem, a flag, and a beam. And remember, not all music notes need to have all of these things. So this music note only has a head. This one has a head and a stem. And this one has a head, a stem, and a flag. Excellent. I'm glad you guys got that again. I hope you remembered how to do all of that. So, now we have one more thing to review, and that is our first note and our first symbol. So here we go. Let's see what those look like again. So the different music notes look different because they do different things. So let's learn about one of the music notes today. The first music note we're going to learn about is called a quarter note. Can you say quarter note? So a quarter note is this note right here. This note is called a quarter note because it takes up a quarter of the measure. Now, a music measure looks like this. And here's our quarter note on the measure. Here's 4 quarter notes on the measure, because we can have up to 4 of them in the measure, which is why it's called a quarter note. It's kind of like with money. With money, if you want to get to $1, you need 4 quarters. In music, if you want to get up to 1 measure, you need 4 quarter notes. So when we talk about the quarter note, we're talking about the rhythm of the note. Okay? So we're going to use our hands to do that rhythm. So for us, a quarter note will have 1 clap, and it'll sound like this. One more time, 1 clap. Do it with me. Just 1 clap now. Excellent. So the quarter note is just 1 clap. And we're going to name that quarter note something else. So it's called a quarter note in music, but we're going to call it jam. And when we say jam, we're going to clap just once, because remember, a quarter note only has 1 clap. So it goes like this. Jam. Jam. One more time. Jam. We're going to learn one more thing today. And that last thing is called a rest. Or in this case, it's actually called a quarter note rest. So when we see a rest symbol that looks like this, we are going to rest and not do anything. So we're not going to clap. We're not going to say anything either. In fact, we're going to make our rest sound. And our rest sound to help us out is going to be Shh. Can you do that with me? Shh. One more time. Shh. Make sure when you do that, you take your hand and put your finger up towards your mouth and go, shh. All right, did you guys get that? I hope that was pretty easy for you, being our second time doing it. But it's time now to learn our new note. And our new note looks like this. It is called an eighth note. Can you guys say that? Eighth note. Like the number 8. It's an eighth note. An eighth note is kind of like a quarter note, except that it only takes up half the time that a quarter note takes. So if a quarter note goes like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in a measure we can do 4 of them, remember that? So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, jam, 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 jam. And it kind of looks like that, right? So if we can do that, okay, an eighth note can do double that number. Yeah, that's right, double. So it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Oh, that was a lot more claps, wasn't it? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And that on music looks like this. Pretty crazy, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes this time. And that's why it's called an eighth note, because there can be up to 8 of them. That's a lot of notes. So you'll notice that these eighth notes actually have something between them, don't you? They can sit on their own, and they have what's called a flag, and that's how you know that there's just an eighth note there. But when we see them most of the time, we're going to see them together, double, like this. These two eighth notes have a beam between them. Remember we looked at the beam when we talked about the parts of a note? So it could have a flag if it's just on its own, but normally it's going to look like this with the beam. And we're going to see them together, just like this. And so if a quarter note was only one clap, this one can be sure that when we see something like this, it's going to be 2 claps because there's 2 notes. We're going to call this note not an eighth note normally, although that's what musicians call it. We're going to call this note a cherry. That's right. We call it cherry. And when we say cherry and clap, it's going to sound like this. Cherry. One more time. Cherry. One more time. Cherry. Notice it was 2 claps while we said cherry. All right, so let's do a couple practice notes. The first one is just a whole line of cherries. So here we go. On 4, we're going to go cherry, 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 cherry. All 8 of them. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cherry, 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 cherry. One more time, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4. Cherry, 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 cherry. Did you get that? I hope you did. All right, let's try another one. This one says, shh, cherry, shh, cherry. Remember to go shh with those rests. And cherries, remember, are 2 claps. So on 4. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Shh, cherry, shh, cherry. Let's try that one more time, yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4. Shh, cherry, shh, cherry. Did you guys get that? All right, let's try another one. This one has cherries and jam. So this one says, cherry, cherry, jam, cherry, right? So let's try it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cherry, cherry, jam, cherry. Were you able to do that? Let's try it one more time. There's kind of a pause there after the jam, huh? Takes up more space. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cherry, cherry, jam, cherry. Were you able to do that? Well, let's try one more. This one's a little bit tricky. This one says jam, shh, cherry, shh. All right, hands ready, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jam. Shh. Cherry. Shh. Ooh, let's try that one more time. This one's kind of tricky. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jam. Shh. Cherry. Shh. You want to try that one more time? Make sure to look at those notes while you're reading it and clapping. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jam. Shh. Cherry. Shh. Hope you were able to do that one. So that's all the notes that we have, all of our new ones. Make sure to keep watching this video if you need some practice. And I will see you guys at your time that we can do a little bit more practice of this together. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Keep practicing.